Okay.
Okay na.
Yes, Kat.
Okay. Hi, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. I am Ate Kat of Seroptimus International of Alabang, and I am going to be your host and moderator for tonight's Usapang Ate. So, welcome everyone sa isa na namang makabuluhang usapan na tatalakayin natin ngayong gabi. So, to start with, um, I would like to acknowledge muna the presence of our members, our president, Tata Estaniel, our charter president, Agnes Valencia, VP Lisa is also present, past President Ludi Pardo, and past President Marily Victorio, and also our PE Sheng Pontillas.
Yes.
So, Pres Tata, would you like to welcome our
Yes.
audience?
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, welcome everyone to this podcast in this very interesting series of Usapan Ate by our SI Alabang. Tonight we have a very special guest in the person of Miss Mariasun Azcuna. She is a personal friend and also an authority on women's studies. So I hope tonight's discussion online will be very fruitful for everybody. This is our campaign for the violence against women, and we have had this since it was started in the 90s when the law was RA 92 was passed, and so we are do this every year in commemoration of the violence against women campaign. Welcome everyone and good evening.
Yes, thank you, Pres Tata. So, to start with, allow me to share some details of our topic, no? On November 25 to December 10 is declared by the UN as the 16 days of activism to eliminate violence against women, or EVOW. It is an annual international campaign calling for the elimination of violence against women and girls, and this year's theme is Wired to Change: Tech's Impact on Gender-Based Abuse. So here in the Philippines, we have the annual 18-day campaign to end violence against women, which is observed from November 25 to December 12. So the current theme for 2022 to 2027 is United for a Vow-Free Philippines, which is a call for a united stand against all forms of violence committed, especially to women and girls. So Seroptimus International of Alabang will dive into these topics today. So violence against women and the impact of technology on gender through our special episode of Usapang Ate, titled Violence-Free Community, a virtual talk on RA 9262 and tech impact on gender-based abuse. So we are joined by my fellow seroptimist who will talk about RA 9262, and with a special guest who is a feminist, a women's rights advocate, who will share with us her insights on technology's impact on gender and if it heightened the cases of abuse against the vulnerable sector like women and girls. So without further ado, let's start with our discussion on RA 9262 with our very own President-elect and Program Pillar Chair, Miss Sheryll Sheng Pontillas. So, I'm gonna introduce her muna. So, PE Sheng has worked for gender and development both at the local and national level for 9 years. So she now teaches gender and society, humanities, and mental health subjects at the Binyan City branch of the first Polytechnic University in the Philippines, which is known to be as the PUP. So she is a globally certified coach specializing in career, leadership, organizational culture, and behavior with specialization track in well-being from Yale, Agile Leadership from University of Colorado, International Leadership and Organization na Cultures from Università Bocconi, and Masters in Guidance and Counseling from University of Perpetual Health. So currently, she is finishing yet another specialization in neuroscience for her coaching from Colorado Boulder University. So, viewers, our very own President-elect, as we call her P.E. Sheng, Miss Sheryll Pontillas.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. Hindi ko alam ano yun.
Ano yun?
Hindi ko alam kung ano yun. Okay, so audience warning. Let us make sure that our microphones are muted
Muted?
muna so that
Yes.
we can really listen and we can really take in all the insights and all the information that you guys will be hearing from all of us tonight. Ano? And once again, thank you so much, Secretary Kat, our very lovely public affairs chair as well of Sir Optimist International of Alabang. So give me a few minutes or a few seconds to just pull up my slides. Don't worry, guys. This is a very, very short talk and discussion on RA 9262. It's just enough to give you an overview on what the law is, what it covers, and who is it for. So yun, kailangan alam natin kung ano ang RA 9262. All right, so can anyone or can all of you guys see my slides? Is it nakikita ba? I mean, may video pala.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see it. All right, so let's start. Okay, so RA 9262. Before I deep dive into the topic, I would just like to show you the results of the pre-registered survey that we conducted when all of you, our participants, answered some of the questions that was included in our registration link. And this is actually the result. Papakita ko lang sa inyo so that we have a guide on, yung mga violence or yung mga data na meron tayo, what we know and cases that we know of, or if we've been, yung talagang biktima din ng mga violence na ito. So for the first question, have you ever been a victim of gender-based violence? As you can see, almost 61% of you said yes. Ano? So, said no, pero may 20% who said yes. So, medyo nakaka-alarm pa rin. Number 2 question is, do you know anyone who has ever been a victim of domestic violence? Now, this one, majority of you said yes. Third question. What was the type of violence or domestic or gender-based violence committed against you or anyone you know? So dito, nagbabari na yung mga sagot, but 80%, no? So more than half of all of you participants tonight answered the emotional and psychological violence. And then second to that would be the physical abuse. Third to that would be the sexual abuse. And then we have the economic abuse and others. Let's move forward because we have 5 questions during the pre-registration. Now, for the 4th question, was the perpetrator or abuser someone you know or not? Now, most of you answered a total stranger. So that is very alarming. Kasi kung merong kapasidad ang mga estranghero to actually commit, violence against us or to commit a crime against our rights, against our being, then that is very scary and very alarming as well. And then the second answer to that, or the second data that we gathered from all of your responses, shows that 40% answered that the accuser or the perpetrator is actually someone close to you or someone you know. So nakaka-alarma din. And then we have 25% na nagsasabing acquaintance nila, so someone that you just met perhaps, and then 10% someone that you met online. Okay, so actually we have data that we can go by as we proceed with our topics tonight. Now, for the fifth question, what did you do or what did anyone you know do after the violence was committed? Now, dito medyo alarm ako talaga personally because majority sa sagot dito, 34% said, I do not know, I do not remember. So hindi natin alam kung nagkaroon tayo ng regression, or hindi natin alam kung nagkaroon tayo ng selective memory, or we just chose not to remember or to recall it anymore. We just chose to forget it. So that is actually very alarming because hindi natin ina-acknowledge na may nangyari sa atin na hindi maganda. And then the second result actually showed kept silent, which is another data na magpapakitang nakaka-alarma because we cannot keep silent on something like this. Kailangan nagsasalita tayo, kailangan nagsasabi tayo na may nangyari sa atin na masama so that an action can be taken and pwedeng mapanagot yung mga gumawa ng violence against our rights as human beings. Okay, so those are the 5 questions that we have gathered, the data from the pre-registration. So thank you so much, registrants, participants, for answering. Now let's move forward and talk about the first topic. What is RA 9262? Okay, first and foremost, when we talk about RA 9262, it actually simply means na ito yung batas na para talaga sa mga kababaihan lamang. Okay? So pag sinabi natin para lamang sa mga kababaihan, hindi pwede ang mga lalaki dito na nasa relasyon. So what does it talk about? It actually talks about violence or discrimination being committed against women in a relationship or who have been in a relationship. So pwedeng past, present na relationship, okay? So kung kahit kayo ay naghiwalay na, pero nakaranas ka ng violence within that relationship while you were together, pasok ka sa batas na ito. So yun yung pinakahiwatig sa batas na ito. So ano po yung mga tinutukoy sa batas na ito? Ano yung mga pinag-uusapan? Well, there are actually 4 aspects na binibigyan ng pansin or binibigyan ng pagpapahalaga sa RA 9262. And these are the biktima, the karahasan, anong klaseng violence, the protection na pwede agad mabigay doon sa biktima, at kung anong parusa ang pwedeng ipataw doon sa perpetrator. Okay, let's move forward. Pag kasi dito sa batas na 9262, kung magtataka kayo, bakit para lamang siya sa mga babae? Well, the batas kasi was specifically created to really protect women na naging biktima talaga ng abuse while they were in the relationship. Kasi before this law, ang daming mga babae, pati ng kanilang mga anak, ang nakakaranas ng violence, ang nakakaranas ng karahasan while they are in the relationship with their partner or their husband. Kaya ginawa yung batas na ito. So sa ilalim ng batas, ang maaari lamang na maging biktima, as I've said, ay ang babae at ang kanyang mga anak. So when you say babae, so we're very particular about the gender here, talagang para sa babae lamang. Pero pagdating sa mga anak, pwedeng maging babae at pwedeng maging lalaki. So as we move forward, mas ma-expound natin yun kung bakit. And now let's see, teka. Kasi naglolo ko lang ang video ko. Okay. Sino ang mananagot? So according to the law, ang pwede lang managot sa batas na ito are, and I think I mentioned this a while ago, asawang lalaki, dating asawa, so pwedeng past relationship, karelasyon ngayon or current boyfriend, dating karelasyon or dating boyfriend, so pwedeng ex-boyfriend or ex-partner, at pwedeng current girlfriend or current ex-girlfriend. Yes, pwede pong i-consider yung mga same-sex relationships as long as yung victim is babae. Okay? So kung ang perpetrator is babae because you were in a same-sex relationship, pwede rin siyang mapanagot under the law kung ikaw bilang isang babae ay nakaranas na pang-aabuso. Okay, so let's move forward. So very clear ang batas ano kung sino ang perpetrator, sino ang mga biktima, talagang identified siya. And now let's go to the third category or to the third aspect na tinutukoy ng batas na 9262, which is kung ano yung mga uri ng karahasan. So the very first violence that is identified under this law is the emotional or the psychological abuse. So under this abuse, dito po papasok yung mga pagpapalito sa isang tao or pagpaparamdam sa isang tao na wala siyang halaga or kasabay ng pananakot sa isang tao na pag umalis siya sa relationship or humiwalay siya sa relationship, hahanapin siya or may gagawin sa kanyang masama or let's say to some degree pwedeng takutin din siya na o sige pag hiniwalayan mo ako ang may gagawin na masama sa sarili ko. Parang ako yung ako yung magsa-self-harm pag iniwan mo ako. So that would also fall under the emotional or the psychological abuse. So kahit nga yung mga pagbabanta, small threats, pasok din po siya dito or kahit yung mga simple lang na pananakot. Basta nasa relationship ka, either past or present, pasok po dito sa batas na ito. So very very elaborate po ang ating RA 9262. And when we say the types of violence under this law, 4 lang po na uri ang ina-identify ng RA 9262. So yun na po yung una. The second one is yung pinaka-obvious and pinaka-common at lagi nating naririnig madalas sa mga news, nababasa sa mga newspapers, even online pag meron tayong mga nakikitang mga napopost na mga abuses, kadalasan physical ang mga nagiging ebidensya. So when we talk about the physical abuse, madali siyang makita because meron talagang ebidensya kaagad. So nandyan yung pambubugbog, pananakit, pananampal, panggugulpe, and the evidence would actually show like pwedeng may dugo, may pasa, may sugat, may bukol, So minsan nasa bunutan pa, so may yung ulo. So yung mga ganun those are all physical or forms of physical abuse. So madali siyang makita kaya evidence-wise, madali agad mapatunayan na merong nangyaring pang-aabuso doon sa biktima. So we have already tackled the first one, the emotional or psychological abuse. The second is the physical abuse. And now we'll go to the third abuse that is identified under RA 9262, which is the sexual abuse. And according to your answer from the survey during your pre-registration, ito yung pumapangatlo doon sa klase ng abuse na naranasan din ng tao. So ano yung nakapaloob sa sexual abuse? When you are in a relationship or you are in a relationship in the past at nakaranas ka ng mga ganitong klaseng sitwasyon or scenario. So pasok siya dito kung pinilit ka na gumawa ng isang sexual na bagay na hindi mo gusto. Ladies, remember, when you say no, it has to be no. And gentlemen, pag sinabi sa inyong no, you have to respect the no as well. Huwag niyong ipilit. Kasi remember, kahit nga girlfriend niyo yan, or kahit nga partner niyo yan, or kahit asawa niyo yan, kahit pinakasalan niyo yan, and intimacy is part of your relationship or part of your marriage, pag sinabing no, kailangan respetuhin pa rin. Because aside sa MAWS, sa 9262, meron din tayong marital rape law. Kaya medyo mag-iingat talaga tayo. So under this sexual abuse, papasok dyan yung panghahalay, pambuboso, pamimilit, na manood tayo ng porn, tapos ayaw ng partner, ayaw ng girl, tapos pinipilit pa rin. Bawal po yun under this law. Tapos to some extent, at sana wag naman sanang mangyari sa atin, and to some women who have fallen victim actually, yung mga pinipilit sila ng kanilang asawa para ibugaw sila sa iba. So there are really cases, nangyayari po talaga itong mga ito. So ito po yung mga nakapaloob na mga sitwasyon when we talk about sexual abuse. Kaya dito sa sexual abuse, when you are in a relationship, you have to understand na meron kang karapatan talaga. So, and your no actually should take a stand and should take precedence over anything else. And now lastly, the last category or the last type of abuse identified in RA 9262 is the economic or financial abuse. So ano po ang economic or financial abuse? Ito po yung pag gusto mo magtrabaho tapos hindi ka pinapayagan ng asawa mo, tapos sasabihin ng asawa mo na, hindi, wag ka na magtrabaho kasi okay naman, dito ka na lang sa bahay, ikaw na lang mag-alaga ng mga anak. Pero ikaw, gustong-gusto mo magtrabaho. Or another example or situation of this would be, let's say, sasabihin sa yung dito ka na lang sa bahay, hindi ka pwedeng lumabas, kahit anong gustong gawin mo, ako ang magbibigay sa'yo ng pera. Tapos pag binigyan ka ng pera, ultimo pambili ng pang-personal mong pangangailangan is kukulangin pa, no? Kasi nga kinokontrol niya yung bawat sentimo na gagastusin mo or paggagamitan mo ng pera. Another scenario as well would be, let's say, tatakutin ka niya, sige, hiwalayan mo ako, or sige, magsumbong ka, or sige, umuwi ka sa inyo, and I will take the children, or pwede mong dalhin ng mga bata and hindi mo na sila kailanman mapapahingi sa akin ng kahit na anong suporta. So bahala ka sa kanila, hindi ko kayo susuportahan, maging yung mga anak natin, hindi ko talaga susuportahan. So these are actually some examples and scenarios under the economic abuse. So now we have tackled under the RA 9262 kung sino lang yung pwedeng maging biktima, sino yung pwedeng maging perpetrator, at ano yung apat na uri ng abuses or karahasan under the RA 9262. So moving forward, let us talk about naman kung ano yung pwedeng gawin ng isang biktima ng VAUC. So first and foremost, pag meron tayong narinig or tayo mismo ay nakakaranas, kailangan, the first thing that we do is to get a protection order. We have to protect ourselves right away. So kung kayo ay naging biktima sa kahit na anong uri ng pang-aabuso na na-mention ko kanina, get a protection right away. So ano po ang protection order? This is the temporary or the permanent protection order that you can actually get from either the barangay or from the court. Okay, so let's move forward. Para naman maproteksyonan kayo kaagad, at layunin talaga ng protection order is, aside po sa mga nababasa nyo dyan, ang pinaka-importante dito is yung maproteksyonan din yung biktima. Kasi a lot of times, sa mga cases na ganito, nababaliktad yung kaso. Sinasabing, pwedeng sabihin kasi ng lalaki or ng perpetrator na ang babae yung dahilan kung bakit nangyari yung pang-aabuso. So pag nakakuha ka agad yung biktima ng protection order, ano siya, kumbaga, kampante siya na mapoprotektahan siya sa ganun na klaseng demanda, yung matuturn yung tables against her. So, kailangan, yun ang pinakaunang makuha kaagad na protection ng babae. And second would be, and one of the most important then is, yung may papel talaga na ebidensya na pwede talagang ihain sa kahit na anong ahensya that would actually show some proof na meron talagang nangyaring pang-aabuso. So, the protection order would help the victims on that area. So moving forward, yan po itong mga saklawan, no, ng ating protection order. So let's move forward. Pati din po yung custody po sa mga anak, mabibigyan din po ng pansin through the protection order. So ano ba yung mga uri ng protection order? So we actually have 3. And dito po sa 3 uri ng protection order, isa po dito ay makukuha sa barangay at 2 po dito ay makukuha sa korte. So the first one is the barangay protection order, which you can get from the barangay hall or from kapitan or from kagawad. And the barangay protection order can actually last for up to 15 days lamang. So kung hindi naman masyadong malala, kung pwede namang mapag-usapan, o sige, pwedeng protection order for 15 days lamang while you guys are working on your issues. Pero kung kailangan mo ng mas medyo mahaba-haba, then pwede ka nang kumuha ng temporary protection order which could actually last for 30 days. So pag 30 days, itong temporary at saka yung next one, the permanent, sa hukuman lang talaga siya pwedeng kunin, sa family court lang talaga. The permanent protection order is, from the word itself, it is permanent until mapawalang bisa na ng hukuman or unless binawi or binago na ng hukuman yung desisyon. So it is permanent. It will stand na nandyan yung protection order. It is forever unless bawiin ng hukuman or unless mag-decide yung, let's say, yung victim na hindi na niya kailangan yung protection order, so pwede nang mabaliktad yung desisyon. So pwede nang matanggal yung protection order. Pero it is longer than 30 days. So for as long as you need it, it is there to protect the victim. So yan po yung tatlong protection order na na-discuss sa RA 9262. Okay, so let's move forward. Apat na po ang napag-usapan kaagad natin. Ano? Ngayon, we will need to identify according to RA 9262 kung ano naman ang pwedeng parusa doon sa mga perpetrators or doon sa mga inakusahan under the batas, under this law na RA 9262. Okay, let's just wait. Okay, but first, sino ba ang pwedeng tumulong sa biktima para makakuha ng protection order? So first and foremost, pwedeng, kung hindi kakayanin ng biktima mismo na kumuha ng protection order, pwede siyang tulungan ng kanyang family members, pwedeng ng any social worker sa DSWD or sa LGU, pwede rin ang police officer. Let's say, dumiretso siya sa police at nag-report, nagpa-blotter dahil sa nangyari sa kanya. So pwedeng yung police officer mismo ang tumulong sa kanya. Or kung dumiretso man siya sa punong barangay para magreklamo, pwede rin ang barangay or ang kagawad ang tumulong sa kanya. Ngayon, kung meron siyang kakilala na lawyer kaagad, or counselor, or therapist, let's say, yung nangyaring karahasan or yung nangyaring violence happened years ago. And since then, she's been undergoing therapy or doing sessions, counseling sessions with the counselor, or pwedeng nagpapagamot siya, no? And nung nakapag-ipon na siya ng lakas ng loob, tsaka siya nakapag-decide na, okay, lalaban na ako, lalabanan ko na yung nangyari sa akin. So, pwede pa rin mangyari yon. And kung, let's say, wala pa siyang lakas ng loob na siya mismo ang kumuha ng protection order for herself, then pwedeng yung counselor, yung lawyer, or even the medical or the healthcare provider can help the victim as well. Let's say, dumiretso siya sa ospital, nabugbog siya, meron siyang pasa. Pwedeng yung doktor na nagkasikaso sa kanya ang tumulong sa kanya para makakuha ng protection order. Or any two concerned citizen. Now, participants, let's remember when we talk about two concerned citizens, piliin po natin yung mga concerned citizens na talagang maaasahan natin. Wag po yung concerned citizens na pagkatapos po tayong samahan at tulungan para makakuha ng protection order, ay pupunta sa kanto at ichichismis yung nangyari sa atin. So we have to really choose the people na who can really help us. And tayo naman, kung tayo naman ang naging witness ng karahasan, pag gusto natin tayo yung mga concerned citizens, then let us do our due diligence to really help the victims properly. And at the same time, protect their basic privacy. So ano po yun? Karapatan po yun ng mga biktima, no? Na maprotektahan din sila. Okay, so let's move forward. So, ito po yung question. Maaari bang mamagitan ang barangay para magkaayos ang biktima at ang akusado? Ang sagot po dyan is no. Big no. Hindi po pwedeng mamagitan ang barangay at ang biktima, na ipag-ayusin ang biktima at ang akusado. Hindi po talaga pwede yun. It's a no-no. Kasi nasa loob po yan, nakapaloob po yan sa ating local government code na wala pong kapangyarihan ang kahit na sinong punong barangay na mamagitan sa kahit na anong usaping karahasan na nangyari sa isang relasyon. So hindi po talaga pinapahintulutan yun or pinapayagan ng batas. So pag sinabi pong no, ang pwede lang pong mangyari kasi siguro naririnig natin, may pinag-ayos sa kapatan o may pinag-ayos doon sa barangay na mag-asawa na nag-away kagabi. Kadalasan po pag naririnig po natin yung mga ganoon na klaseng scenario, ang mga inaayos lang po doon usually is settlement. Let's say, kailangan muna nilang mag-separate for a while. So, i-ensure lang na meron pa ring suporta na makukuha yung mga anak or yung asawa mula sa, sa partner or sa husband para hindi maputol yung sustento at yung kumbaga tuloy pa rin yung kumbaga life goes on pa rin kumbaga kahit hiwalay at habang wini-work out yung mga issues. So usually dapat ganun lang po ang inaayos ng mga barangay. So other than that, bawal po talaga. Alright, so let's move forward po. Okay, now let's talk about the yung mga akusado. Kung mapatunayan na ikaw ay nagkasala sa loob po ng RA 9262, ito po yung pwedeng ipataw sa iyo na mga parusa. So we have to remember na ang paglabag sa batas na ito ay tinuturing na isang krimen. So it is a crime against basic human rights ng mga kababaihan. So pwedeng mabilanggo ang isang napatunayang akusado, napatunayan na talagang nakagawa ng krimen. Kung gaano katagal, magdedepende iyon sa kung gaano kabigat ang kanyang nagawang krimen. Pangalawa is pwede rin siyang pagbayarin ng danyos na hindi bababa ng 100,000 at hindi rin naman tataas sa 300,000. Ngayon, that we are talking about just one crime here. Ngayon, kung paano kung maraming crime. So, di ba, hindi natin alam kung paano yung magiging calculations nun. Paano kung nakaranas na ng physical abuse, nakaranas pa ng emotional and psychological abuse, nakaranas pa ng sexual abuse. So all of that, baka pwede pang tumaas. Pangatlo na pwedeng ipataw sa isang mapatunayang nagkasala under RA 9262 is, of course, pagsasailalim sa psychological counseling or psychiatric treatment ng mga napatunayang nagkasala. So tandaan po natin, hindi lamang po ang mga biktima ang ika-counseling at isa-psychological treatment. Dahil kadalasan po, we have to remember that some of the abusers are actually victims of abuse as well in their past. Okay? So tandaan po natin yun. Kaya po sila ganyan sa kasalukuyan dahil pwedeng naging biktima din po sila noong sa mga nagdaang panahon sa loob ng kanilang buhay. Kaya ina-undergo din po nila ang counseling at ang psychiatric treatment. Now, let's move forward. Bakit ba talaga kailangan nating tulungan ang isang babae na nakaranas ng karahasan? Bakit ba kailangan natin siyang tulungan? Let's say, ayaw naman niya magsalita, pero bakit kailangan nating i-push na, magsalita ka, you have your basic human rights, ay paglaban mo yan, babae ka, hindi ka dapat binabastos. Yes, pag ikaw ay nasa isang relasyon, dapat hindi ka binabastos. Bagkus, dapat merong respeto, merong pagkalinga, there should be candor, there should be care, aside from love, at merong pantay-pantay dapat or ekwalidad sa pagturing ng inyong basic na karapatang pangtao sa loob ng inyong relasyon. So wala dapat nakakahigit na okay, porket ikaw yung lalaki at ikaw yung physically strong, ay pwede mo nang patawan ng abuso, or physical na abuso yung iyong partner o yung iyong asawa. So hindi pwede dapat ganoon. The second one is, syempre, ang RA 9262 or kung sino man nakalabag nito, tinuturing ito na isang krimen. So hindi ito usaping pang-pribado. We need to talk about this and we need to discuss this and we need to raise awareness and ensure na yung mga biktima nito ay mabigyan talaga ng hustisya at yung mga gumawa ng karahasan under the law would actually, mabigyan din talaga ng parusa. So, yun lang yun. Kasi isang paglabag sa karapatang pantao ng babae, ang sinuman na gumawa ng karahasan o lumabag sa batas na RA 9262. So actually, we are almost done for RA 9262. Yan, tapos na nga talaga tayo. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig. And padayon po sa ating mga buhay, mag-iingat tayo lagi. And let's make sure lang, if we are in a relationship, let us remember kung ano yung mga basic human rights natin as women, as partners. And kung mga kalalakihan, if you are listening, always respect the love of your life. Okay, so thank you so much. And Sekat, I give back the floor to you.
Wow, that was great, P.E. Sheng. Thank you so much. Umpisa pa lang po, overflowing na ang information na binigay na sa atin ng ating guest speaker din. So, first thing first about women talaga is awareness of our rights, no? So, bagamat kailangan nating protektahan ang ating pamilya bilang mga ilaw ng tahanan, kailangan din natin protektahan ang ating mga sarili bilang mga babae. So, now I know you have questions and we will address them later during our Q&A. For now, let's move forward with our next topic, which is as important as the first one, but is more relevant because it encompasses domestic relationships At this point, we will be learning the impact of technology on gender-based abuse to be discussed by our special guest. So, our special guest is Mariasun Azcuna. She served as Dean for Arts and Sciences of St. Scholastica's College in Manila from 2009 to 2018. Before this, she was the Associate Dean of the School of Arts and Sciences, Chair of MA Humanities and Women's Studies Department, Chair of the History and Sociology Department, and coordinated the honors program of the St. Scholastica's College. She pursued college studies after she raised her children with her husband, Adolf, who used to be the Chancellor Emeritus of the Philippine Judicial Academy of the Supreme Court up to 2021. In 2002, she earned her Master's of Arts in Humanities, majoring in Women's Studies. In 2014, she earned yet another Master's of Science degree in Geography from the University of the Philippines in Diliman, where she also earned additional academic units for a Master's of Arts in Asian Studies. A sterling example of scholastical education, she now sits on the board of SSAFI as trustees after holding the president position from 1994 to 1997. In private, she loves her gardens, her books, arts, architecture, cuisines, and studying cultures of the world. Once again, Mariasun Azcuna, MAWS, MSG. Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, good evening. First, I'd like to congratulate Sheng for a very thorough presentation of RA 9262. It really lets your audience know what the law is all about. I
Yes.
was preparing something like that, but you did it very well.
Thank you,
I would also
Mariasun.
like to welcome you into the fact that we're both in what is known as women's studies, because you're doing gender and society. Okay.
Yes.
But you have a different name for it at PUP. I would also like to share with the audience that maybe you wonder, why did this law come out? No, violence against women has always been present. Even when you read the Bible, you see the violence against women in all the old documents and through time. But I think what we always react to is physical violence. In the 80s, the 90s, the women became very political. The personal is political, and they wanted to see ways by which women could be protected. One of those areas was precisely how women, the violence against women, or gender-based violence. And once they studied it and they had experts, then they began to see that it's not just physical violence, but there's also emotional and psychological violence. There is economic, and there is also sexual. I think I noticed that in the chart that was shown, no, there were two things that I took note of. Number one is that there were those who said that maybe there was violence against them. How is that possible? It's either you had violence or you did not. So I think they would probably fall under those who would rather not talk about it, no?
Correct.
And then the economic, I think, is even worse maybe than emotional, psychological, or sexual, because with money, you cannot move at all. So, it was one way by which women had nothing at all for them to work on. And in fact, even when they were given money, they had to make do with what they had. Now, November 25 to December 12, the United Nations and the month addresses the elimination of violence against women in society. Will it ever happen? I hope so. It has, I think, lessened in some way, because there are now structures, processes, and institutions that address that concern of violence, okay? But maybe the other thing is, now when we look, I in particular am supposed to talk about the effect of technology on gender-based violence. And we may not realize it, but there is violence there also. As of 2022, the population of the Philippines registered at 11.8 million. Okay, our internet penetration as of 2022 stands at 68%. That's pretty high. Huh? Social media in the Philippines covers 82.4% of the population. You know, go anywhere and people are all bent down. Why? Because they're bent over their cell phones. And that is across ages, okay? How good is the reception depends on accessibility of signal, but I would dare say that there is pretty good reception in urban areas and even some non-urban areas, okay? When we look at social media, it is so common nowadays and accessible to many. In fact, some people will go hungry so that they can buy load. It's very important for them to have a cell phone available, okay? Or sometimes they go to the shops where they can do other things on computers, okay? It is actually considered a necessity, an economic necessity for some, and even a right. Parang kung wala kang cellphone, wala kang laptop, wala kang computer, wala kang device, parang napaka-poor mo. Okay? This is why we need to see that digital public space is safe and empowering. Maybe we don't realize it, but it really is something that we have to look into. The more manifest ways by which technology encourages violence are the following, okay? Social media is largely visual and oral, okay? So you have your eyes and you have your ears, okay? That's why when you have distressing scenes, they already tell you ahead, this is distressing, so it's covered only if you want to open it. Because some people really get very distressed seeing violent or scenes that you would not like to look at, okay? And because of the visual and oral stimuli, you can also use technology, the internet, digital space for violent stimulation, okay? Some actually like that. You know, for example, if you watch this gaming, they have games, and the games are usually very violent. Everybody gets killed or whatnot, you know, women get killed, children get killed. It's just a game. But very often for the young people, they cannot even tell. For children, if you expose them to that, they cannot tell the difference between a game and reality. That's why there have been some such cases of children shooting someone thinking that they will get up just like in a game. A lot of bullying also happens on digital space. Why? It used to be, cyberbullying used to be face-to-face. Okay? But when you're face-to-face, mahirap yon. Why? Kasi you're facing each other. So baka magsuntukan kayo, magsabunutan or whatever. But on the internet, it's different. You're practically anonymous. You can hide, okay? And even when your name appears there, it's possible it's not a name. So cyberbullying also is another way by which gender-based violence happens, okay? They have emboldened online persons to say and do what they want to do and feel they will not be punished at all. Okay. Now take note how technology speaks out their violence. Cyberbullying, misogyny, insults to women, calling out persons in particular, also minorities, okay? You have sexist jokes, and maybe one of the things I'll tell you, sus naman, hindi ka naman marunong tumawa. But I wonder if you have noticed that all sexist jokes laugh at women. You never have jokes that laugh. No, it's not that you do not, but there are very few jokes that laugh at men. The women are always the butt of the jokes. Then there's cyber stalking. Okay, someone is following you through your connections digitally. There is harassment. Okay, in fact, a lot of suicides that happen in the States and in other places is because they are harassed digitally. Okay, threats. There are also threats that are given on physical, sexual, or other kinds of violences. There is sexting. So you are using sex as a way to communicate, and that person may not even be interested on that, but they are forced to because they have a connection to you. They have been able to connect to you digitally. There are also the publishing, and I think this is the one where maybe more we realize happens, the publishing of physical, of intimate photos without consent. You have also the accessing of private data through hacking. There is also the posting of cartoons, anime, and the putting down of women and minorities. Okay. We also have the working out of violent games on devices, and maybe this one, maybe very select people only have this, what they call snuff films. These are films where they kill women, usually. They also kill children, okay? Or there is a murder anyway. Sometimes they tell you, no, it doesn't really happen. You don't know, but this happens in the dark, dark world of the internet, okay? All these forms of technology and aided violence reach the home, the workplace, school, and community centers, okay? So remember, the home, okay, through the parents may be doing some of these things on their devices. The children may have access to it, okay? Then you also have the workplace exchanges and whatnot. Some people have it ongoing, and they just switch to another station when someone comes in. So that's also very, very dangerous, okay? Then you have school and community centers, okay? Do you remember the memes during the last elections? The insults given out to candidates, the harsh language, do you remember that? I remember that it used to be so difficult to read comments because parang some of the insults you cannot even imagine because you don't talk that way. When you talk to people, maybe when you get very angry, you may say some things, but in general, you don't talk that way. But the comments on all that digital platforms during the elections were terrible, terrible, terrible. It actually educated young people because many of them, there were trolls and there were adults who engaged in this, okay? According to the Foundation of Media Alternatives, 2023 registered 686 gender-based violence cases. 2021 to 2022 registered 659. Imagine, for 2 years, you had 659, but in 2023, you already had 686 and the year is not over yet, okay? So violence is on the rise as a form of expression, okay? Letting it all hang out, as they say. Now, how is the violence relayed by technology? You have mobile text, you have the laptops and the tablets, you have encrypted platforms like WhatsApp, Viber, and Telegram, and email. Okay, so these are all used. Okay, very often what are passed around there are intimate photos, video blackmail, and you have to understand that when you post these things, they all go viral. The moment you post, it goes viral. So it's not just maybe 5 people. Right away, you multiply it in the hundreds and later on in the thousands. You cannot even take it back anymore. Okay. And then there are, of course, also email accounts with a controlled password. Someone who allows you to use email, but they hold the password. Okay. Now, technology has also changed sexual harassment and how it affects netizens. Okay. Now, I mentioned earlier cyber stalking, manipulation of photographic images. Beware of artificial intelligence. There have been many women who have complained that that's their body or that's their face, but it's not their body. I remember they were passing around photos of Laila de Lima in very intimate positions. But I could tell, I looked at it and I could see that it had been doctored. And yet many people believed that it was real as such. And that went around and around and around. It became the talk of the town everywhere. Okay. Then there are, of course, fraudulent advertisements. They entice you, and it turns out it's not real. They also use the net to recruit victims, especially young girls. So young girls have to be very careful. They have to be taught on what to do with devices. And there's, of course, commercializing private home videos. I read somewhere that in Cambodia, private videos between couples are sold by the side of the road. I mean, I cannot imagine what kind of a partner you have that commercialized something that was personal. But it happens. It can happen, and it happens. Okay. Now, with technology also, action, remember that with technology, action can be done. You almost have a anonymity, as I mentioned earlier. It can be done from far away. Okay. You don't even realize it. It was done maybe in Marawi and then uploaded everywhere here. There's also the facility, we know that, to prepare, upload, and reproduce internet items to attack, abuse, and humiliate people. It's really incredible how thorough it can be. So what do we do? It all sounds very depressing. It all sounds so evil. But we also have to remember that technology is neutral. Huh? It can be used for good. It can be used for evil. So we have to know how to use technology. Number one is that we have to take control of our devices. We love to get the latest phone, the latest laptop, everything latest. But sometimes we don't even know what are all the features that they have. For example, on my cell phone, I keep on getting a notice that it's going to be upgraded. When I read what's going to be, it's very complicated. It's like you don't really want to read all of it. But you don't even know what are the other things there. Sometimes other people will warn you and tell you, oh, you know, with that upgrade, this is what happens, etc. They used to say before that, you know, the camera on your computer, on your laptop, be careful. Sometimes it's open and it's documenting you everywhere. Okay. So you must take control of your devices and know how they work. You must be wary of people who just pop up in your directory. Who are they? Why are they there? How did they come about to be there? Hacking is a favorite pastime nowadays for many, many reasons. But then also, you have to be careful of this hacking, because it may not be just to get money from you, but to even put you on lists where you should not be, and you don't even know that you're on that list. See? Then what about young children? Should they have cell phones, laptops, tablets? You know, you go everywhere and you have very young children with tablets. Okay? And sometimes even the young children. But what is the appropriate age? When they have to learn how to be responsible for it, they have to understand what using a device means. Okay? So it's not just getting into cartoons. A lot of parents, I think, love to give tablets so that they are watching cartoons. Maybe they don't know. They say, oh, they don't know how to do this or that. I remember one of my apos, at 6 months old, she knew what to do with the tablet. She was far better than me. I didn't know quite what to move there. She knew what to do at 6 months. And remember that the Gen Z and the Alpha generation coming up, their fingers are already extensions into all these devices. Parang they're connected na. Not the millennials still have to learn, and then someone like me, a baby boomer, or even the Gen Xers, it's still you still have to learn it. But the Gen Z and the Alpha, naku, ano na, diretso na. Okay? So when should they? Maybe 12 years old is an appropriate age for them to get a very simple cell phone. Please don't give complicated cell phones also. And even when they have, because they may have to use the laptop or the tablet for school, then there are many ways by which there can be control in those devices. Okay? Okay. And then they must be educated. You have to sit down with them. You know, so many children, even here and in the States, have gotten into the tablets and the laptops and whatnot, befriended people. And some may have problems, or they get introduced into intimacy without realizing it. So there has to be a very strong education with the girls as well as the boys on how to use these devices. Don't just think that because they're so good at it, you can just let them experiment and find out. They are also open to many others who are far better than they are and know perhaps difficulties or challenges that they have, and entice them to join groups or meet up with other people. Okay? But at the end of all of this, really, what do we aim for? We aim for a violence-free community. Okay? Technology and how it affects gender-based violence, and most especially women and children. If you've been watching what happens in Gaza, you will see how Gaza and the West Bank, look at how the women are affected, how the children are affected, and all of that violence that's happening there. What are we going to do about it? So I end my talk with that, and I'm open for questions, the same as Sheng. I'm sure there are many questions for Sheng.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Mariasun. That was very interesting, and again, such impactful insight from your sharing, no? So, this is it. Ito yung pinakahihintay na natin, the exciting part of the program. Usapang Ate alas ay alabang tayo ngayon. The Q&A portion. So, we have gathered questions based from the free registrations, and with the time that we have, we will try our very best to answer many, if not all, of your questions, no? So, first question. How can we help those who is suffering from gender-based violence?
Ako na?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Please.
You know, at Saints ko kasi, one of the things that we had with women's studies was a realization that there were many women who were suffering from violence. Okay. We have kasi classes, we have students who are in class, women's studies, it's a requirement, it's a GE subject for all juniors. But we also have short courses that we work with women farmers, entrepreneurs, etc. No? And one of the things that we work with is first, who are you? Okay, I'm a woman. So what do you have to be proud of? Well, and we go through the process of uh, looking at your body. Okay, what is it as a woman, as a mother, as a wife? So there are many areas that you go into. We look at also institutions and how they affect women. So there's religion, there is the workplace, there's education. So all of these things form for the students, it's a semester. For these other groups, maybe we have about 6 weeks or so where you have short seminars. But the idea is for them to learn who they are and be proud of who they are. Sister Mary John, who is, I think you will be inviting her in the future, loves to make cuento of a woman farmer who was always getting beaten up by the husband. But after she took the seminar, she told the husband, "You cannot touch me. I have my own identity." And the husband never beat her up again because she herself had pride in herself, you see. So you have to know who you are and what is it that you speak for. So I think we start with that for those who are suffering from gender-based violence, and then find ways by which you can guide them through.
Yes. Again, awareness na naman po yung
Ay, oo,
kailangan.
awareness and education palagi. Oo, malalim.
Correct.
Okay. Yes, P.E. Sheng.
Hindi, tama yun. Tama yun. Awareness and education talaga. Gaya ng ginagawa natin ngayon. We are actually
Yes. Oo.
using the platform that we have as a club, as a optimist, to actually spread awareness to women and girls out there. And not just women and girls, even the boys as well, no? The men as well.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
they actually need to be the change then and to help in achieving that change in our communities and in our society. Ensure that we can really achieve a violence-free community.
Okay. Another question is, what is your opinion po if the genders are reversed and the wife is first abusive and the husband takes revenge?
I would like to answer this. Mariasun.
Go ahead. I will answer
I'll take
after.
muna this one.
You
Okay,
take
so
it.
when I was with the LGU, I was part of this team for the pre-marriage counseling and orientation. We had this kasama na lalaki na may asawa na, and sometimes pag ito yung mga tinatanong, paano po pag reverse, 'di ba? Paano kung yung lalaki ang binubugbog within the relationship at wala siyang kawala dun sa asawa niya, and he couldn't say anything kasi with men they actually have this they're actually stereotyped as a strong gender. They could not cry or they
Masculinity
could not
nila.
even talk about it if they're the one suffering. So wala din silang mapaghihingan or mapupuntahan para makahingi sila ng tulong. Ang lagi niyang ina-advise is wag saluin, wag i-try saluin kung ano man yung mababato sa kanya, wag daw i-try saluin, umiwas na lang daw talaga. Kasi pag tinry mong saluin, baka kako sa pagsalo daw, sabi niya, mahawakan niya daw yung kamay, tapos mabaliktad pa at sabihin na, oh, anong ginagawa mo sa akin, sinasaktan mo ako. So, well, that's the advice na hindi ko makalimutan na lagi niyang sinasabi. Now, on a more serious note, ano ang gagawin natin if the situation is really reversed nga, and in the context na ang lalaki ang nakakaranas ng violence within the relationship, I would have to suggest, since we do not have VAMC, okay, let's be clear about it. We do have the law on VAUC, but we do not have the violence against men and their children. So wala tayong VAMC. So since wala tayong VAMC, and if the guy in the relationship is the one who is or who has fallen victim to abuses or to violence, let's say sexual, because it can happen, or pwede ring psychological or emotional or even physical and economic. So pag sila yung naging biktima, what would actually apply is kung ano na yung ibang batas na meron tayo in place. Like meron tayong, let's say, grave threat,
RA
or
1313, yung anti-bastos law ba yun?
and that's still for the women actually, yung anti-bastos law.
Oh,
Pero ang pwede sa mga
For women,
lalaki, oo, it's still for women.
physical
Pero ang pwede
injury.
sa mga lalaki is, let's say, kung nakaranas sila ng physical violence, kung ano yung, let's say, yung mga batas natin na meron that would actually cover that as well. Kung ano naman, emotional and psychological abuse, so pwedeng grave threats, pwedeng psychological abuse ng mga laws na related doon, ang pwede. So any laws that we have already in the country, yun ang pwedeng gawin. Pero again, sad to say, we don't have any specific yet for BAMC. Pero there is a reason for that. Kasi kagaya nga ng nasabi kanina ni Mariasun, since time immemorial, laging ang mga kababaihan ang nakakaranas ng violence. Kaya ginawa at kaya nagkaroon tayo ng BAUC law. And then that is actually thanks to all the efforts ng National Commission on Women in the past. No, kasi talagang tinutukan nila. It started with the Magna Carta for Women. So marami yan. And doon nag-umpisa yon na kailangan i-recognize talaga na even if considered and stereotyped as the weaker sex, they can be protected, or we as a women can be protected. So yun yung pinaka naging goal talaga ng mga batas na ito that protects women and girls. But it's not to disregard the fact na meron ding mga lalaking nakakaranas ng violence. So there are applicable laws. Hanapin lang natin kung ano yung nararapat.
Tama ka, P.E. Sheng. Okay, let's move forward. Another question. How will you take action? Oh, okay. Mariasul,
yes? No, go ahead. I think we've said enough, so we can go to the other questions.
okay.
Oh.
So, question is, how will you take action to someone who will or still keeping silent after hearing this kind of lecture despite of the abuses she had experienced?
This takes a lot of time. You will have to work with this person. Let her speak out. Let her realize that she's a victim, that she also has powers within her to do something about it. And it has to come from her. It cannot be
Correct.
from outside. But you see, that takes a long, long time.
Yeah.
So you will have many of cases like this. You really will. That's why it's psychosocial. You will have to work with them. Remember that when a complaint like this goes to the barangay, to the PNP and all of that, okay? It doesn't end just with reporting. Sometimes the children will not even side with you.
Yeah.
You have to build up a support system. That's why one is helping the person who's undergoing this problem. Second is there has to be a system, so she may have to be taken away from the home and stay somewhere else. Maybe you can also, in some cases, maybe you can talk to the husband or to the partner. In some cases, that may not always be true, okay? But it can happen. But what's important is that you have the time to work with them. That's why you need a shelter. That's why they talk of shelters, okay? So that she also has to get strong. See? Pag yung mga bugbog na ganyan, mahirap eh. Kailangan tulungan mo muna. As she gets stronger, and hindi naman kaagad-agad, it's not always a straight line. It also, parang it's meanders. So, in time, hopefully you'll be able to get her out of the situation and give her also something to be proud of herself. See? So, mahabang proseso. Now, LGU, that's, Sheng works with an LGU. So I think that's before, because you have God, okay, that gender and development. Yang gender and development fund na yan, dapat gamitin yan the way it should be used. Kasi sometimes, in the LGU, sabihin nila, anong gagawin natin dito sa God fund? Mag-Zumba tayo. Hindi yan ang purpose ng God. Okay? Yeah. So, people who are involved with the LGU, it's also important to educate the women and the men in the LGU. Dapat maging partners din yun.
Collaboration talaga ang ano.
Correct. And there's actually a flow chart as well as to how to report violence.
Yes.
So they can go, let's say the victim is not willing yet or not able to, pwedeng ganun, no? Or not ready. So pwedeng someone who knows na meron nangyayaring violence could actually go to, let's say, the barangay VAUSI desk. Pwede silang humingi ng tulong doon. Not really interfering, no? Kasi again, as Mariasun stated and really emphasized, it has to be at own pace ng victim. Hindi natin pwedeng ipilit kasi the victim could be dealing with something else. Baka ayaw niya pang isipin muna yung mga legal aspects, ano, or yung mga repercussions para dun sa perpetrator niya. So pwedeng ang naging priority is to actually heal muna. So pwede rin ganon. Pero for someone who knows na meron nangyayaring ganon, it would be good to really inform the right authorities right away. Para kung kayang tanggalin agad dun sa sitwasyon na may abuso na nangyayari, is matulungan na matanggal agad dun sa sitwasyon na iyon. And then the rest can follow.
Kaya kaibiganin nyo yung yung LGU. Kung ang barangay captain lalaki.
Mga barangay bawdes, kaibiganin.
Very important kasi para networking din
Correct.
It's not just something na papasok ka doon and then dami mong sinasabi. Then everybody gets threatened.
Yeah, tama.
But if you work with them and then they see, oo nga, alam mo yan si Pedro, palaging binubugbog si Maria. Because people know naman in the community sinong bubugbog, sinong nabubugbog, sinong lumalaban.
Correct.
Ganon, di ba? So, yon.
Okay, next question. How can we effectively break the culture of silence surrounding gender-based abuse and encourage survivors to come forward and seek help, especially in communities where reporting such incident is stigmatized or discouraged?
I think we more or less already mentioned it, no, that it's a process. You have to work with other people. It's you can work, for example, with the church. You can work with the LGU. You can work with other organizations. Sheng, it seems, she is doing neuroscience. So that's also helpful, Those
very, very helpful.
There are many ways kasi that we have now to help out. The important thing is lumalabas. Mahirap yung nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Importante yun that it's talked about. Not in a, kinda chismis, pero hindi yung what do you call this? Even though they may whisper it, but they're already, the fact that they know that there is such a law has already broken the stigma. The fear is, naku, baka i-report ako. And then usually what happens, kasi the next thing that will happen is this, liligawan ng babae. And then lalambot yung puso ng babae, sabi niya, tignan mo naman, hindi naman pala. Good, siguro for 2 days lang yun. May bugbog ka na naman. So the realization that it is a problem and it needs to be solved, but it will take time.
Live by what you believe. Kumbaga.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's easy to say, but
Yeah.
not easy to live.
Mhm. Kailangan yung advocacy mo, kung ano yung advocacy mo, kailangan naniniwala ka na kaya mong i-share na yung awareness sa ibang tao. Kumbaga.
Kat,
Okay, moving.
Sekat.
Yes.
Oo, in the interest of time, I was checking my my clock. In the
Mhm.
interest of time, it's already 8:30. Baka kasi may gawin pa yung iba nating participants. Can we just discuss question number 11, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken? Maganda yung tanong na yun eh. And I think
Okay.
it's very apt. And I would just like to say, para dun sa mga questions na hindi naman you can see naman, talaga pong pinaghandaan sana namin pero makukulangan po talaga tayo ng oras. Ano? So don't worry because we will do our best to answer your questions. We have your email naman directly. Yun na lang ang gagawin namin. So I hope that that would be, that would suffice for now.
Yeah.
We will directly answer your questions. Send it through the email that you have registered with. Okay? So let's address this question now. Mariasun?
Well, I noticed that I think we have talked already about what happens in an urban setting. Okay? We know that there's a process, there are institutions, etc. This thing na hanggang kabundukan at liblib na lugar, kahit na walang inaasahang enabling law, I did not really think of the liblib, but I thought of the NPA. Kasi when you talk about the NPA, akala mo walang nangyayari doon na gender-based violence. Meron din. Is that ever addressed? That's never talked about.
Yes.
I have heard that talked about. Now, yung mga kabundukan at liblib na lugar, hindi naman sila, maski liblib nga, it doesn't mean that hindi sila inaabutan ng mga discussions na ganito.
Yeah. Correct.
But their concerns are even deeper because it's either they are so poor. They are so poor. The personnel has to take a back seat.
That's very sad.
So, what happens there? Kasi usually, it's the women and the children. Usually, ang mga lalaki will be able to get away. Kasi they are the ones who will study, then later on, pwede silang pumunta ng bayan. Yung mga girls, ang usually maiiwanan na wala and will stay. And the mother, until
Makabalik.
either the father gets sick or she gets sick, then that becomes the solution. It's not, now I wonder if you were to make like the questions that Shane made, how many will say na may problema silang ganun sa liblib na lugar? At doon sa audience natin, baka may gustong sumagot.
Sila
Baka
Tata, sila
Baka
si
you want to share.
Agnes.
Baka you want to share with us.
Like the one that's abusing them.
Mukhang wala na.
Wala.
So actually, I would have to agree with that. Mahirap talaga pag nasa liblib ka. Tapos ang dami pang challenges. Kasi nandyan yung cultural factors, nandyan yung economic factors, nandyan din yung family, 'di ba? Paano kung ayaw ng family i-push pa, 'di ba? So maraming factors pag ang pinag-uusapan is yung mga liblib na talaga na lugar. Pero we can only hope, we can only hope na sooner rather than later, we will really get there. So yun lang for me talaga. Kasi right now, mahirap talagang sabihin yung napaka direkta na sagot and parang na talaga na end goal. Kasi maraming proseso ito at maraming dapat pang gawin para ma-achieve talaga natin yung inclusive talaga na approach to be a really gender-based, violence-free na bansa. But altogether, if we are all working together and we are all doing our part nga in helping one another, being vigilant about actions that are being taken against our person, so mas maganda, we could actually all start in that area.
Oo nga. Kaya nga ang current team natin ay United for About Free Philippines.
Yes, we all have to be united. It cannot be the job of a few lang, no? So dapat lahat talaga tayo ay involved dito. Kat, I was going through all of the questions and yung number 14 actually asked kung ano pa daw yung mga educational initiatives in place to inform the public about their rights and the legal measures. Well, I would just like to mention that the Philippine Commission on Women, their website, pcw.gov.ph, actually stores a lot of information, a lot of resources that you can access from. Marami pong mga resources doon. Once you enter the site, you just go to resources. They have a tab there for resources, and then just look for the laws. Look for the digital library that they have. They have the policies and laws on women, specific for women. They also have the digital copy of the Magna Carta for women there. So marami po kayong mababasa doon at marami kayong mafa-find out. In fact, on a personal note, kadalasan po ng alam ko sa mga batas po pertaining to women and girls are coming from the PCW webpage. So laking tulong po talaga ng PCW sa ating lahat. So let's just make use and maximize the use of that webpage and our access to it. So yun lang.
What's important also, in your own barangay, find out what is it that can be availed of. Tignan nyo kung anong meron sa simbahan. There are many initiatives kasi that are also going around and it may be different from province to province. There may be more, there may be less, but make use of them. Find out kung anong meron. Like I mentioned, yung gender and yung God Fund na hindi nagagamit ng tama.
We need to educate ourselves talaga sa mga bagay.
Educate din our leaders.
And our leaders.
No, but precisely our male leaders, and that's true even of female, if you work with them, they can be your partners because women are also voters and they're actually very influential in the community, in the family, in the community. So it's a plus.
Yes. I agree. So, what a night once again dito sa ating Usapang Ate. A very, very good discussions, no? So, we hope we were able to answer all your questions and provide the much needed insights on violence and gender-based abuses happening everywhere. So, both in real life as well as fueled by technology. And sana we can all use this information to protect ourselves and help others get access to the right help and support if we know of people who have fallen victims to any form of abuse. So we also hope to see all of you once again in the coming episodes of Usapang Ate dahil hindi po tayo mauubusan ng pag-uusapan dito. So at this point, I'd like to thank our special guest, Ma'am Mariasun, for being with us tonight. So,
thank you too.
Yes, ma'am. We hope to see more of you in the future and we really appreciate all your sharings po. So, P.E. Sheng, thank you as well because your passion and advocacy is truly inspiring younger generations to uphold their most basic human rights. And that is to protect themselves from any and all forms of violence.
Okay. Sekat, thank you so much then. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Sekat, before you do your outro, mukha kasing you're about to do your outro.
Yes,
Meron
I
tayong
am.
surprise. Isisingit lang natin because we need to hear something from our very own charter president na si CP Agnes who is with us today. But before we call siguro CP Agnes, let us show muna because we prepared something for Mariasun and for all of the team that actually made all of this happen. So,
Okay.
Raquel?
Raquel, take it away.
Ayan.
Oh.
So, Mariasun, yes, Kat, up to you.
Okay, I will read the citation. Sir Optimist International of Alabang presents this certificate of recognition to Mariasun Azcuna, MAWS, MSG, for her valuable insights as resource speaker to Usapang ATE Special Episode, Violence-Free Community, a virtual talk on RA 9262 and text impact on gender-based abuse. Given this 30th of November 2023 in Muntinlupa City, signed by our President, Cynthia Francesca Estaniel.
Ayan. Thank you so much, Mariasun, for being with us tonight. We hope to see more of you in the coming topics, in the coming episodes. Ayan.
Thank
All right,
you.
okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And Mariasun, we will send this to you, the digital
Sure.
copy of this.
All
And of
right.
course, we actually hope to meet you in person soon.
Yes, please, we must. Yes.
Oo, kasi sa Viber lang tayo nag-uusap. Ayan. So Raquel, can you please move forward? Okay, so that's okay na, Raquel. Next na. Thank you so much as well, Raquel, for that. Next na tayo, Raquel. Ayan. So, hindi lang naman kami ang meron, Kat. Siyempre, yung mga organizing team, the team behind the Usapang Ate is also recognized by our president. So, I would like to take this opportunity, Kathleen A. Capili, to recognize you as well. So, let me just read the citation. For all your valuable contribution as host to Usapang Ate Special episode. So, that is what's happening right now, the violence-free community, a virtual talk on RA 9262 and text impact on gender-based abuse. So, still signed by our president, Francesca Estaniel. So,
Thank you so
thank you,
much.
Kat. Thank you so much. Okay, next Rocky. Our next is for Ludette Mendoza as well for her contribution as a valuable organizer to this Usapang Ate Special episode. Without her, we would not have the Zoom link that we are using right now. So mukhang unlimited yung access natin. We are supposed to end at 8 p.m. But we were allowed to extend. So thank you so much, Ludette. Okay, next. And of course, our very own tech master, Raquel Sara Castro, MSIT. Yan. So siya po yung next ng mga slides dyan for all your valuable contribution, Raquel. Also as organizer to our Usapang Ate Special episode. Maraming salamat. Naku, galing pang Quezon City yan, umuwi dito sa Binyan para lang makasama tayo ngayong gabi. Thank you so much,
Thank you so much, Raquel.
Yan. So, Cathy, back to you.
Yeah, so
surprise kayo doon siguro.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Pakala ni Press Tata yun.
Ano na?
Pakala ni Press Tata yun.
Yes,
Like,
thank you,
she
Press.
really wants to recognize everyone, the team behind everything that we do. Thank you so much, Press Tata.
Okay, so outro ko na to.
No, call CP Agnes first.
Oh, nandito pa si CP Agnes?
Yes, CP Agnes is
CP
with us
Agnes, would you like to say something po?
Nakamute ka, CP, nakamute.
Unmute lang, paki-unmute nyo lang siya.
CP Agnes is our charter president. Without her, there is no Sir Optimist International of Alabang.
Thank you very much as I was surprised. I have to say something. But of course, with all this information, the host, our president-elect Shed, of course, our guest speaker, Mariasun Azcuna, and of course, our president, Cynthia Estaniel, and everybody who attended this Usapang ATE. This is very, very informative. And thank you very much for all those who formed this Usapang ATE for this tonight, and that everybody is informed of what has to be done in our society, especially in the women's society. Thank you very much and good evening.
Yes, thank you, CP Agnes. Ayan.
Photo op muna.
Totoo po.
Photo off muna tayo.
Oh, sorry, Cathy.
Sino magte-take ng ano? Hindi, ipa-on natin yung mga cam nila.
Oo, yung mga participants, if you can turn on your camera, can we see your faces?
Please turn on
Can
your
you,
camera.
can you guys give us some
everybody.
hearts and some thumbs up if you like the episode tonight? So we know na we can do this again. And we will keep doing this.
And this is the second time, Sheng. P.E. Sheng.
Yes. Yes. Second time?
Yeah, this is the second time. Last year, we also had Usapang Ate ang
For
VAUSI.
November. For
Yes.
VAUSI. Oo, yes. The Usapang ATE actually started last year, and this is the second year that we are really observing the VAUSI campaign, ano? And for starting this year as well, we are also observing the UN campaign on the 16th day of activism. So dalawa, 16 days of activism and 18 days
18
to
days.
end VAUSI. So
Yes.
dalawa na. All right,
Okay,
so everyone,
ayun,
those who can turn on
ang
their camera,
cam. Ayan.
picture na Rocky when you're ready.
Uy, may mga gentleman pala tayo.
Yes, we do. May mga lalaki nag-sign up. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for joining, everybody.
Tigda po ito po.
Okay, next page. Tapos na, Rocky.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
na po.
Okay na,
Alright.
Rocky. Thank you, Rax. So, ayun. This is goodbye for now. I am Secretary Capili, the Public Awareness Chair of Soroptimist International of Alabang, thanking each and every one of you for your precious time, your interest, and your support to our advocacies to empower women and girls through education. So hanggang sa susunod nating kwentuhan, dito lang sa Usapang Ate ng SI Alabang. Bye!